Good morning, KMMA Tribe. Shion Stephen Castillo coming to you this day from Krav Maga Martial Arts. And today I want to talk to you about something that I saw on the internet. It's something that everybody is thinking and talking about, really. I almost just swiped by it, like all the other irrelevant distractions and noise going on very often on social media. But then I thought, there is some leadership relevance to this discussion. And here was the little quote thing that somebody said. They said, "Today I went to the bank and told them I identify as a millionaire and that I'd like to withdraw my money. They laughed and asked me to leave. Turns out just because you believe something in your brain doesn't make it true, and you can't force others to pretend it is." Now I want to talk a little bit about this whole thing because obviously it's one of the social discussions going on, right? And here's the deal. It is true that in certain many areas, the idea that you can just identify in a certain way when it goes against what is actually true is not only erroneous and ridiculous, but sometimes downright destructive. And right now I'm thinking about, because honestly, you're going to laugh at me, but it's how little I really pay attention to stuff. I just learned about the whole Furby thing. I heard it twice in the last 2 days from two different people that told me this thing that there are. Well, one told me about it in California, and then the other actually drives back and forth from Wisconsin, has dual residence. A friend of mine, and he said the same thing in Wisconsin, where there are actually some children who allegedly identify as cats or dogs, or I think cats in this particular context, because there's a litter box in the story. And the story gets even more preposterous because allegedly they actually like all the kids have to leave the other kids, the kids that realize they're humans, have to leave the classroom so that the cat can do their business in a litter box. Now, look, first of all, I can hardly believe it's true. Yeah, I mean, they both were credible sources to me. But the fact that society would have slipped so far that that could actually be happening is ironic, poignant, insidious. And I'll tell you what I mean. I believe that, number one, nobody actually believes that, obviously, that this human child is a cat. Because, oh, by the way, let's talk about the illogical reasoning here. Not only for, keeping genus, phylus, species, and all that stuff, and whichever one makes the human, but that's not the relevant argument. The relevant argument, because quite frankly, if the person wants to have their delusion in their own home and their own bedroom, I don't care. That's their delusion. Although, to be honest, if I was a good parent, I would kind of work with my kids on removing the delusional behavior. But I don't think that any of that is true. I think that what happens is, in reality, is that neither the parent nor the child nor the administrator nor the political whatever decision makers, none of them actually believe this. So it's obviously a ridiculous thing to get attention and make a point. And listen, have kids always found crazy ways to get attention and make a point? Yes. Do kids always test boundaries to see how much they can get away with? Yes. By the way, so do puppies, but that's a whole different discussion. The point of the story is that as parents, we teach them truth and we give them boundaries and we protect them from themselves because they're children. I had a discussion, the other day we were talking, my son and I, and we talked about, look, I didn't even let you decide if you're going to have a tattoo or not until you're 18 years old. That's your choice. But it's your choice when you're a man, not now that you're under my care. The problem with that whole story, if it's true, of course, is that it's a disservice to all the other kids in the school. It's a disservice to the administrators, and it's a disservice to the child themselves, and especially. What a ridiculous thing to allow these kids to do. And the idea that they can identify and choose to be a cat is not just ridiculous. If it was just ridiculous, you could just laugh. But it's not just ridiculous, it's insidious. Because it's bad for them for the rest of their lives. There's nothing positive and productive coming from that. And oh, by the way, if anybody actually did believe that this was actually a cat by any kind of right, well, then that cat doesn't have a right to education. They shouldn't be in the school system at all. What about Milo Puppy and all the other dogs and cats of the world? Do they get a right to public school education? Enough on that, because it's not really the point of my message. My point of my message is that while the third premise of this logical argument is true in this case, just because you believe something in your brain doesn't make it true, and you can't force others to pretend it is. It's true. Like I said, I've made the logical argument. I don't think they even believe it, right? I think it's just attention getting. But if you did, still doesn't necessarily make it true, and you certainly don't have a right to make others pretend that it is. Having said this, now I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to tell you the case in which I think that this final postulate is false. Sometimes it is good to identify as something that you are not. And now let me tell you what I mean and what is the real value of this message. When we say the words I am, or identify as, or any version of that thing, it's what we say next that has all the power. And oh, by the way, these ridiculous ones, they're silly and irrelevant. They certainly can't move you in any positive direction or move these people in any positive direction. But let's talk about the ones that can. I identified as a winner before it was true. We teach our students to identify as black belt leaders before they are. The words that you say after I am, like I am powerful, I am confident, I am able, I am a positive and contributing member of society, I am able to do all things, I am blessed and highly favored, I am, like there's a lot of positive I ams that are positive to say, even when they're not yet true. Because we do move in the direction of our dominant thoughts. So that type of identification is positive and productive. By the way, that's why we begin and end every class with affirmations that move us that way. So my students begin their classes with the student creed that says, I will develop myself in a positive manner and avoid anything that could reduce my mental growth or physical health. Also relevant to the first part of the discussion, right? But in a more positive way too. I would develop self-discipline in order to bring out the best in myself and others. I will use common sense before self-defense and never be abusive or offensive. This is a black belt school. We are motivated. We are dedicated. We are on a quest to be our best. And then the black belt creed at the end of the class, where the students say, I am a dedicated student of the martial arts, and I live by the principles of black belt. Courtesy, modesty, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and the indomitable spirit. And then the sensei says, where are we? And the students say, a black belt school, sir. They say, what's our goal? Black belt excellence, sir. And then what are the three most powerful words? Yes, I can. See, this kind of identification, these kinds of affirmation, moving towards the person that we want to be in a way that is positive and true and real. This is powerful. See, now if I was to read the same final statement again, just because you believe something in your brain doesn't make it true. It can, if you believe it strongly enough, long enough, and then act in a fashion that moves you in the direction. And again, of course, I'm talking about now character traits, leadership traits, positive, productive, and empowering things that make life better for ourselves and others instead of the reverse. I hope this message has been useful, entertaining, maybe perhaps more discussion. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you soon. Prepare to live, empower to lead, Krav Maga martial arts.